what were the main factors you considered when you were choosing your stream, and what were the subjects like you opted in class 11th and 12th after having decided your stream? Also, like what was the information that was available to you when you chose these streams, and maybe if you would have more info available, would your option of choosing the stream be different?
Okay, so first I chose the humanities stream in grade 11 and 12. That's because I was very interested in those courses. Like, I didn't know a lot about them because, we have more science subjects and then we just have social science. But I realized that I wanted to learn psychology really bad since I was very small. So I was like, I'm gonna take humanities. I didn't want to take like there's an option in science that has psychology, but I didn't want to do that because I wanted to learn sociology also. So that's why I chose humanities. There was not a lot of information available just because I feel like not a lot of people take humanities. I think there's like some sort of stigma towards taking it. Like a lot of people take either
True,
science or
true.
commerce. Yeah. So then
Yeah.
I just knew the subjects that were there, but even if I knew there were the subjects, I didn't know like how there's like PCM and engineering drawing, PCM computer science. So there's like humanities with entrepreneurship, humanities with fine arts. There's like a bunch of options. And I didn't know that. Once I took the stream, I realized that there are these many options. And then I could, while I was in the stream, you can like change a bit. So then I chose entrepreneurship first, and then I took fine arts. So my subjects were English, psychology, sociology, economics, and fine arts. Five subjects, right? Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, I don't remember much. Um, and they were very interesting subjects. I loved them all because I feel like the foundation that all three subjects gives you is very holistic. Like you're getting the economic perspective, a sociologist perspective, psychologist perspective. It's just very like enriching when you learn it. It's just beautiful subjects. You're learning about people, about society from different lens. I think that's something very beautiful. But yeah, there was not a lot of information. And if you think about it, in middle school, I did want to become a dentist. So that was humanities was not even in the picture. But then as I came to like grade 9 and grade 10, I realized that my interests lie in the social sciences. I feel like I could use my passion, my interest, and my brain to put more effort into the social sciences or humanities because if I'm passionate about something, I'm going to do much better. Yeah, so
Yeah, true. You must follow your passion. That's
yeah.
absolutely true. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like you said, you wanted to become a dentist. So, like, how has your career aspirations changed over this being the middle school student to the senior school student, and now you're in college? So, how has it changed over a period of time?
Yeah. I'm gonna start with when I was really small because I wanted to be a lot of things growing up. And I think a lot of us have been there. like,
Yeah.
so you always like, one day you're like, I wanna be an air hostess. The next day, I want to be a pilot. The next day, I want to be a cook. Like, there's like a lot of aspirations out there. But in middle school, I think grade 6 or 7, one of my friends, her cousin was doing dentistry, and she had this whole planned out life. And I was like, wow, I want to do that too. And I was just inspired by that. But I was not inspired by dentistry, like becoming a dentist. I was just inspired by her cousin. It was more like, oh, she's doing that. This must be nice. But I realized that while doing like social sciences in school, I really liked it a lot. And I realized that there was an option to do psychology in grade 11. And I was like, okay, there are two options for me to study that. Either to the sciences, I guess the bio and then the psychology. I don't remember this. I don't really know the subjects in that. I think chemistry, physics, bio, psychology, English. And then there is the humanities route for that. And I like the humanities courses more in the sense that um, they made me feel like I could, pursue something that's different, but also more worldly. I'm not saying that science subjects are now worldly. What I'm trying to say is that they just help you interact with people in your daily life. I'm not going to be learning about the
Yeah.
nuance, stuff like that, but more like when I'm interacting with someone, how would I make them feel comfortable? How can I explain their behavior? How can I predict behavior or understand attitudes, feelings, emotions? Just makes you a more of a human, like understand what it's like to be a human in different ways. And I was like, this is what I want to do. And then in college, I still did have a lot of differences in my career choices because even when I was in humanities and I was looking for universities in Canada, I wanted to take journalism first. So that's where I started.
All right.
Yeah. So that I wanted to do journalism, and I was looking at universities that offered journalism. Then while thinking a lot and then actually being grade, that was more grade 11 me who was like journalism, that's what I want to do. And then grade 12, I was like, you know what, I learned more of psychology and I just fell in love with it. Beautiful subject. I can like talk for hours about it. And I realized that that's what I want to do. And psychology is very broad. There's a lot of pathways in psychology. So then I decided to do. Um, there's two options at McMaster. There's like the PNB, which is psychology, neuroscience, behavior. That's the more science bio realm of psychology. What I do is social psychology. That's more like sociology, psychology. It's more broad. Like I can literally pick any subject into my degree and make it my own. So I chose that option because my background is more in the social sciences of psychology, and so I chose that. And also, I can just, like direction my degree in any way I want. Like each and every person, there's 120 kids in my program, and each one of us have a very different career, a very different program, because we can just choose and pick what we want.
Cool, cool. Journalism is something even I wished I could have pursued, but due to lack of information, I don't think that was an option. So I never considered it. I really didn't know like what course you should pursue when you're doing
Yeah.
if you want to go for journalism. So I think these things should have been made available when we were in school, back in school.
I feel like a lot of the information is more for like engineering, medicine, those kind of
Yeah,
things. So it's just harder for people
true.
who want to pursue something different. Like you have to do all the work. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was really difficult to find like any platform or anything
Yeah.
else where we
I
could
know.
find such info.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what fascinated you to pursue bachelor's at McMaster University and particularly in social psychology?
So Mac, we call McMaster Mac, and Mac has a lot of opportunities as a university itself. Like it's very, very research oriented. Like there's always something going on at McMaster. And I feel like that is a very good thing because if I have two options now when I graduate. I can either go for like research thesis oriented graduate programs or like counseling or there's a lot of options, but I'm just giving two options here because those are my interests, like psychotherapy related. So if I still want to pursue something research oriented, I would stick to McMaster because they have a very strong team. Also, I feel like uh, at McMaster you have this advantage once you graduate McMaster. Even after 10 years after graduation, they will still help you with employment opportunities. All the employment services
Oh,
are
that's
available
great.
to you. Yeah, like 10 years after you graduate. So you still, you'll probably figure out things within 10 years or maybe not, but you still have your
Yeah.
university to back you up, if anything. And I think that's wonderful. Also, social psychology. Um, Usually at the undergraduate level, a lot of universities do not provide social psychology. It's more like a graduate specialization, but McMaster does provide it. And like I told just before, um, each one of the people in my program have a very different program in general. You have a few required courses, but how you specialize your program is all up to you. For example, I'm doing a minor in addictions. It's something I'm very interested in. But again, I also, my career, my degree, it's more narrowed also towards developmental psychology, so like children and adolescents and all of that. So like I could like say this is my program, but I specialize more in addictions and child development, things like that. But someone else might be a whole different story. And I love that. It gives you the freedom to like choose what you want. And meeting every single person in your program just gives you a whole different lens. But sometimes it feels like, oh, I wish I could do that too. But you cannot do everything in the role. But yeah, that's kind of why I chose business. Just very research oriented. I have I can govern my own studies. And also that even after you graduate, I have my universities back. Like they're always gonna be there even after you leave.
So was this the only university after 12th you applied to, or there were various other universities you had applied to and then shortlisted this finally?
I shortlisted this. So I have a twin sister. She does engineering right now. So
Okay.
um, so we applied for the University of Alberta. I applied to a bunch of universities. I cannot remember much. It's been like 3 years, but I do remember applying to Alberta, and I applied to McMaster too. I got accepted into all my universities that I applied to, but my sister did not get accepted into the Alberta program. It's in northern Canada. It's very cold there, so I'm actually glad I didn't go there. It goes to like -40, and that's that's too much. And so her university was in Ontario. So she lives in Toronto right now. She goes to Ryerson. So for me, McMaster is much closer, just like a 1 hour bus ride to her. So that was one of the main reasons I chose McMaster because it's even closer to my sister. It's hard if like we're just like in two different provinces. We're not even in the same province if I was in Alberta and she was here. And also the weather is also why I chose campus in Ontario. I would say British Columbia, like Vancouver, is better in terms of weather. There can be snow, but it's just much better. Very rainy, but here there's cold and snow. Um, but it's an experience. That's also why I chose. I want to see the snow. Also, Mac has a really good psychology program. Like I couldn't miss out on this program.
Yeah, you also mentioned ki all your classmates have like really different, they specialize in really different subjects. So I think you also get a lot to learn from your own classmates. That's like self learning among your classmates itself. So even that's a great opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. Because everyone is different. So when you talk to anyone about their career, you're just intrigued because there's so many possibilities that you didn't know. Like, it's just amazing.
Yeah, all right. So, what would your advice be for someone who is willing to pursue their undergraduate or study in Canada?
Um, I would say that Canada is a beautiful place. It's very welcoming. Also, because in a campus like McMaster, one thing that I did not mention is you have a lot of diversity. You have kids coming from everywhere, and you interact with people from different cultures, ethnicity, races, whatever. They just it really opens up your perspectives. Like, we're so
True,
used
true.
to our kind of people. And then when you meet so many other people, you just learn a lot, not just about themselves, but about yourself. And you take what you
Yeah,
learn from them, integrate that into your concept of self, and you just become this nicer person, a broader person who just thinks more broadly, I think. And also, Canada just has a lot of opportunities in general, just for job and things like that, depending on your, career choices. But almost for all, like I feel like if I did something like psychology in Oman, I don't have a lot of opportunities, you know.
true.
But if I
Yeah.
did something like psychology here, I just have more opportunities. That's why no matter what you take over here, I just feel like you'll still have a job market no matter what your aspirations are. So if someone is out there and they feel like, oh, I want to pursue my degree in something, but they don't have much information, they don't think they can get a job, I feel like a country like Canada is good for that because you can always find a way to get a job. And also the weather. If someone is very, very sensitive to the cold, I would say just don't come to Ontario or Alberta province. It can be really bad. But again, it's an experience. Like 2 days back, it was windy, and then it was raining, and then there was the sun, and then it snowed. All of this in the same day. So it's like a roller coaster, the weather. From summer when we're in Oman and it's so hot and it's hot throughout the year. When you
True.
experience so many weathers, it's very interesting to see how, everything unfolds. Like over here, summer is like a whole festival. It's like, whoa, it's summer. Everyone's just out there and always going out. And in the winter, it's like everyone's inside and just trying to like, everyone just plans for the summer and the winter. It's like a whole lifestyle shift. It's just an experience. I think Canada's a nice experience for everyone out there. It can be difficult at first to adapt, but that's with everywhere, anywhere you go. Like
Yeah,
even from
true.
Oman, you go to India, you still have to adapt.
Yeah,
There's no
yeah,
way out.
true, true.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I just
true.
think it's a nice opportunity. Go for it.
Yeah. You also mentioned that if you would have pursued your undergraduate in Oman, I also feel like you wouldn't get the diversity over there, like as compared to Canada.
Yeah.
It would
Oman.
be limited if yeah, it would be limited.
Yeah, also, I really haven't heard of a lot of psychologists or counselors in Oman except for the school counselors. So, like, I don't really know much about that. I think there's more opportunities in India too for it. But in terms of job market and pay ratio and everything like that, I feel like Canada just tops it all. Also, in this country where most people seek therapy not just only because they have a problem and they seek therapy. It's just nice to have you go to a physical health doctor for your checkup even if you're not sick. The same way it's like a mental health doctor just to check in and see everything's okay. It's considered as something as important as physical health, and that's something is important for someone who studies psychology because like that's how I see it, right? That's how I see mental health. Mental health equals physical health. You cannot just have one because you know that's just the way human body works. But yeah, I don't think I would have that opportunity that I have here. Like no way.
Yeah. You also mentioned even we have like a lot of opportunities for psychology related courses in India, but I think even if you pursue your undergraduate in India, you still won't get the diversity over here because
Yeah.
here again it's limited to only Indian students. I don't think you'll ever find any diversity in terms of the diversity you are getting over there.
Yeah.
So this
Exactly.
should
Yeah. Sorry.
yeah,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
go ahead.
Okay.
No.
Because
So this should be
yeah.
all right. Go
Because
ahead, go ahead.
yeah, I feel like as a psychology student you're interested in people, and like if you're
Yeah.
studying in India, you're just narrowed down to the Indian population, right? But if you're studying somewhere like in Canada, you're exposed to people from different cultures. Right now what psychology is trying to do is become more cross cultural because it was dominated by Western influence, but there's an Eastern influence that is like the Indian psychologists that contributed, to the field of psychology. But now that I come here, every person I interact with is different. I feel like that just piques my interest because it's people, but people from different cultures. So I think this is the best. If you want to do psychology, this is just a better option out there, you know, to pursue.
Yeah, what I found interesting, what you mentioned is since psychology is about people, so you should definitely look for diversity wherever you're going for your undergraduate.
Exactly. Also, to make that even more specific, social psychology is based on principles like social psychology is like study of people's behavior. Psychology is study of people's behaviors, feelings, attitudes, emotions, blah 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 blah. Social psychology
Yeah.
is like the study of people's behaviors, attitudes, emotions in a society. So it's group behavior and things like that. So I learn about prejudice, stereotypes, or like intergroup relationship, things like that, and that can be best studied in a diverse environment because you're learning how people interact. Like everyone is coming from their different cultural backgrounds, all to the same common ground. How is their behavior like? How is their attitude? How do they adapt? How do they feel? You know? It's just very beautiful.
Yeah, all right. So, could you also brief on the minor subjects that you have taken up in school back then and now in college?
Sorry, could you clear that up a little?
Yeah, so like the minor subjects, like since your major is in psychology, what are the
Yeah.
minors?
Oh, right. Yeah, so in school that I took was sociology, economics, fine arts, and English. So sociology, I would say, is a beautiful subject. It just sociology and psychology go hand in hand, especially when it's social psychology. My degree is kind of based on sociology and psychology, like a mix of both. Um, it makes you understand how the society works, at least. But I just have to make it clear, this was humanities at my time. Right now the courses are very different, I think so, because the year right
Yeah,
below me had a different set of courses, but I don't know if this option is even there now. But this is a very good combo. So sociology was just a nice way. Also helped me because I want to do social psychology, so it was a perfect course for me along with psychology. Economics is another interesting subject because it gave me a little understanding of how the economy works, but also, I just really liked economics. It was just very interesting. I don't have much to say about economics. That is not my area, but it was
yeah.
interesting. And then fine arts, there were two options for us. There was either painting or sculpture, and I took sculpture, and it was wonderful experience of my life. To this day, I miss my sculpture room. It was just that I wouldn't say it was like stress free because when you have your exam, you have 6 hours and you have to build, make this whole thing, which was very stressful. But the times I spent there, the memories I made, and just engaging in something creative, I miss it so much because I love art. I love being creative, and also like playing around with clay is just a therapy in itself. It's just very nice. Yeah, so those were my minor subjects in school. And over here, I took a bunch of different subjects. I'm doing a minor in addictions and mental health. So we talk about how like addiction kind of manifests in people, and you know how a lot of people stigmatize individuals with addiction like they're bad or something, but this addiction is more than just people are bad, and it's not that people are bad. A lot of times the circumstances that make them addicts, and that just give me a whole different perspective on addictions itself. But I also took a lot of different other courses. I did take an economics course in my first year. I took a social work course. You know, you just pick out courses that make sort of interests you. There's a lot of options. You can just pick whichever you like, you know? Yeah.
All right. Oh, yes. So, what would your advice be for someone who is willing to take humanities after class 10th? Because I'm sure they must, like, a lot of questions will be raised on them. Why are you choosing this? You have the option to take science or
I
commerce.
know, I know.
And
I
did you have to face these questions? Like, or
yeah,
was it?
I did. I feel like with me it was added to the fact, especially if you're a student who gets good grades. It's always like,
Yeah,
why are you wasting your grades? But what I
yeah.
have to say, there's a lot of fear and stigma when it comes to choosing something in humanities. And one thing that I have to say is there were a lot of people out there who are like, but why you want to waste all of your good grades? Why do you want to waste all of your brain power? But one thing I would have to say is for people who think like that is that um it's not their life that we're living for. Ultimately, you're living for your life. And no matter how much someone puts you down and tells you cannot do this, if you're passionate about, you take two people, one person who wants to be in humanities was forced to do the sciences, and one person who loves humanities and is doing humanities. So the first person, person A, they're gonna do sciences and they might be a smart kid, but they might not perform well. Their well-being must be so low because they're forced into something they hate. And then humanities student doing humanities, yeah, you have to face that societal pressure, which is not okay, but that's just how our society works right now. And that I don't know when it's gonna change, but all of these kids, you're gonna have to face that external pressure of people trying to put you down. But at the end of the day, you're going to do so much better. Internally, you're gonna be proud of yourself for still sticking to your true passion. It's like being a warrior, against everyone in the battlefield. You're gonna rise to the top if you do something you're passionate about. So I just think that go for what you want. And I feel like a lot of the time parents can be an issue sometimes when it comes to choosing what you want. And for those kids, I just feel bad. Like,
Yeah,
how do you tell, like, you want to choose what you want to study, but they're paying for your studies, so like they might, oh, what can you do? I don't know what to say to them other than I feel for you. Like that's just really sad. But otherwise, what for those who still can, despite all of that, still can pursue humanities, what I have to say is that go for it. People are gonna make you question yourself. You might have different, and your options are not just civil service, IAS and shit like that. It's not just a lawyer. You can do a lot of things with humanities. A lot. We just don't have the information. And if you need help with that, I'm here. Like there are a lot of options out there. It's just that there's not a lot of information and you can do it.
yeah. True. You also mentioned that most of them stick to the traditional paths like civil services or
Yeah.
yeah, so the other things. So that
Yeah.
is again even if they take humanities, that is one traditional part that they look up
Yeah.
to.
I feel like it's also because maybe they might have their own passion, but everyone around them always asks them. Like my aunt used to ask me, "Oh, are you gonna write civil service exam?" And then that makes me question what I want to do. And I feel like, "Oh, do I need to be doing that?" So you can question your own thoughts. You kind of have to like keep yourself grounded and be like, "No, I don't need to." If you want to do that, go for it. Good for you. But I'm just saying that's just the more traditional path, and not all of us want to do that.
Yeah, yeah, true, true. So I also read this somewhere knowing that you can question the rules is terrifically empowering. It is a
Yeah,
reminder that a traditional path is the only no, only one option that is available to you. You can always follow a recipe, drive on the major thoroughfares, and walk in the footsteps of those before you. But there are boundless options to explore if you're willing to identify and challenge assumptions and
yeah,
break free of the expectations that you and others project onto you. So
that's
one more
beautiful.
thing is, yeah. So one more thing is we try to stand on the expectations of ourselves and what others think we must be doing.
Yeah.
Is the other reason why most of us choose traditional path.
Yeah, and for those people who think to motivate yourself, one thing that motivated me was, I don't know if all of us have learned this, but it's Robert Frost's poem, The Road Less Taken. It's about like there are two roads, one that everyone goes through and one that barely anyone steps on. And he they kind of empowers everyone to take the road less taken because it's a fresh road. It's for you to explore, you to discover, rather than the traditional path walked on by everyone. It's a beautiful poem. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's something that inspired me too.
true, true. So, what career advice would you give to your younger self when you were back 17 or in 10th standard? So, what career advice would you give to yourself?
I would just tell my younger self, way to go, good job, because no matter I second guessed my own thoughts a lot while I was in my teens. Although I know I was doing good, I know how my grades were good, but a lot of times when you don't have my parents were a little hesitant at first, but they let me choose it, and now they're happy I chose it. So but there were those other people out there being like, oh, why are you in this? You're wasting your time and all of that. I'm just glad, and I wanna appreciate my younger self that I went through all of that. I'm still here and didn't give up, you know. And what I would say to my younger self is that all of that pain and all of that those prejudice from everyone else is worth it, because like I'm in a much better place in terms of like career and the choices I want to do and like my options. There's something I really want to do. So one advice that I would give maybe is like university can be hard, and it's okay to take your time to adapt to university, because I struggled a bit when I just came here, and so I'm like, it's okay. It's a whole different country. It's halfway across the world. You don't have your family at all. You cannot just take a plane in 1 hour. You can't do that. Um, so it's okay that those are experiences too. So just university is hard, and it's okay if you take your time to like jump back at everything else, because you have to adapt to not just university but life in general.
All right. So I think we have covered most of the things, and it was really great. Like the thoughts that we shared. And one more important thing, we should always select what we love to do while we were 17. Like, I think that was something which will turn out to be true at whichever stage you are in life.
Definitely,
Is there?
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, go
that's
ahead.
all. I'll just like stick to your passion. From anything that anyone takes out of this should just be stick to your true passion. There'll be people to put you down. Don't give up. It will be worth it at the end.
All right. All right. Thank you so much, Anugraha, for joining us today. It was an absolute delight listening to your journey in
Thank
general.
you. Thank you for having me, and thank you for giving me this opportunity.